most famous physical therapist on the internet.
Hi folks, Brad Heineck, physical therapist.
I'm Chris the Pharmacist.
And today we're going to talk about lower your high blood pressure naturally. Recently supported by science. Chris has done a lot of homework on this. Blood pressure is a big deal. You want to keep it intact, keep yourself healthy from now until you're 101 years old. Now, before we go on, we need to go to our platform.
All right, here we
so
go.
You know where we're at.
We got to make it the right side up.
There we
I haven't
go.
practiced that.
We do have a giveaway, but we don't know what it is. Just a future video. But if you go to bobandbrad.com and go to the giveaway section, what is it? Yeah, the giveaway section, right, Mike? Go there and we'll be giving possibly a bed, possibly a Thermatex infrared heater, whatever.
Glad, knee glad.
Fun things. Go to Bob and Brad at the Facebook, top of the page. The giveaway is given. If you want 60-second short version of this video, go to Twitter or to Instagram, and the TikTok also has us there.
There we go.
So let's go to blood pressure. Let's go, what is high blood pressure? And we've got a nice chart here of what the American
Heart
Association has helped us out with. So should we start out with normal? Hopefully we're there.
Yeah, so basically the generalized number is going to be 120/80. So that's considered normal blood pressure.
Sure.
And it can be a little bit lower. It can be, so I mean, from that, and some people, like my blood pressure is constantly like 100/60. So, but that's still considered normal. So even though it's lower than the norm, but that's something that's very comfortable.
Yeah.
So unless you're getting lightheaded or dizzy, that's when your doctor begins to address those issues.
Sure.
But for the purposes of today's conversation, we'll just deal with it.
Yeah, now we're looking at if elevated is, we made it out of yellow, but we realized they couldn't see it very well. It's that caution.
Yep.
It's like, you're on the borderline, starting to get the high blood pressure, but you don't need meds yet. Good place to change your diet, change your exercises. And that's exactly what I did about 20 years ago. I was in this range, and with running consistently and other activities, I was able to drop it down within a few months.
Yep, no, that's huge. So this range is where you're going to really focus on those lifestyle changes. And when when you come to the doctor, they're going to start to talk to you about how are you eating and what are you doing for your activities.
Mm-hmm.
And the key with activities, and that's probably the simplest natural way is just to increase your aerobic output. So, but it's not to say that just aerobic is the only way to get exercise. I mean, weightlifting can be something that can be done. So there's swimming, there's biking, there's dancing, there's gardening.
Now, if you're not familiar with the term aerobic, that doesn't mean you have to go to aerobics class where people are wearing everything and doing the jumping and having fun. It's a good way to do it, but you may not feel comfortable. You can go for a walk.
Yep, a walk,
30 minutes,
brisk walk, 30 minutes, 5 days a week.
There you go. So that's not a big. Well, if you're a sedentary person, that is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
You may want to start out walking 5 minutes.
Yep, and I think you can. Everything. Rome was not built in a day. So I mean, if you had a sedentary lifestyle, but you're ready to make these lifestyle changes, so that hopefully we can keep you off of medication. It's just a little bit at a time, baby steps. I think is a real approach, because actually the last thing we want is an injury.
Right.
And you always want to do this in accordance with your doctor. Feels safe for you.
Right.
So we can't stress that enough.
Right. You don't want to overdo it. And that can be a big thing is, you've been diagnosed, you're maybe at stage 1, you're at that borderline stage, and the doctor's been talking to you about it. It's like, I better get after this. You might think, well, my father died from hypertension.
And he was 56 years old or something
exactly.
like that.
So
I mean,
and I know this one guy, he started, he wanted to run a half marathon. He started at age 60, hadn't run before, but he did it appropriately. He actually hired a trainer.
All right.
And it took him 6 to 8 months. It was like 8 months, and he did it. So
that's a phenomenal goal.
That's an option. He didn't have high blood pressure problems, but he knew that if he went aggressively, he's going to hurt himself.
Yeah, and that's the last thing we want to do is put you back on the couch. I mean, they have to come and see you, or come and see me for something for pain. But I mean, from that standpoint. So but basically when we get to those levels, then when we get up to stage 1, and that's about when your doctor is going to start to say, all right, how are we doing on the diet?
Sure.
So we want to look at that too. So we're talking exercise and diet. So one of the biggest guilty causes of blood pressure, and a lot of us don't know about it, is just the amount of sodium we eat.
Salt, yeah.
So that's one of the things. So we want to read packages. So basically, and your favorite saying is don't buy anything out of the middle of the store. And I say don't buy anything out of boxes. For the most part, it's one of those things where that's a lot of the foods that are naturally, that are not natural are packaged and prefabricated,
Highly
processed food. They add salt in there and sugar for flavor.
Yeah.
And so it's those dead calories and that sodium. And that sodium can make you retain water, which when you retain water, that makes your heart work a little bit harder, more vascular resistance, higher blood pressure.
I always think of it like a balloon. You put more water or air in the balloon and it just gets more and more pressure built up. And that's really what's going on in your system. Your vessels are taking in all that water and it's just blowing up those vessels and the pressure goes up. Heart has to work harder.
Yep.
And then also we have some atherosclerosis that
so the hardening of the arteries. I mean, we have to be careful. There's a lot of other things that once we get that word hypertension, there's a lot of other things that can go sideways. So it can affect our organs like our kidneys. It can affect our eyes. Obviously, it's our heart. It's our circulatory. So there's a lot of things going on because there could be strokes. There can be heart attacks, vascular dementia. So there's lots of memory issues. So there's lots of things that we have to be extremely cautious with when we start to hear this and why we're going to make this commitment to ourselves to help to naturally lower our blood pressure.
Sure. So, and the thing is these problems you talked about, the vascular problems, the stroke too, but all these things kind of accumulate over time.
Exactly.
So, and you could be up to 140 over 90 and feel perfectly healthy and maybe haven't seen a doctor for 5 or 10 years. It's like my grandmother. She never saw the doctor until she went to a nursing home.
Yep.
Luckily, she was healthy. She didn't need to, but she wasn't going to anyways.
Yeah.
She's stubborn,
Yeah, exactly.
But if
There's
you
a
have
lot of us like that, though.
If you have a problem like this, and then you find out after you've had it for 10 years, maybe your vessels are already hardened and you're having serious
cumulative
problems.
damage. Yeah, anytime. I mean, you think of your blood vessels, they're kind of like, they're supple. It's kind of like supple spaghetti. I mean, they're just kind of a very flexible material. It's tissue. Right. And so basically when something's pushing hard against it, in the case of like an aneurysm, it stretches. In the case of just hardening of the arteries, you got all this resistant force pounding against it because that pump is working so hard that they just kind of harden. They aren't quite so supple. There's some debris building up in there. And so,
which actually makes the blood pressure go up more
because it narrows the arteries and vessels. And that's what we have to be so careful with.
So it's a compounding effect.
Yes, it's not just one simple thing. I mean, hypertension or high blood pressure is the word, but there's so many other things going on. And, for every, 10 points in blood pressure, your risk for cardiovascular problems goes up like 20%. So each time. And so many of us, because again, it's the silent killer. So we don't feel blood pressure. We just generally don't. I mean, some people say they'll have a headache or they get a nosebleed. I mean, some of those people, I guess they're the fortunate ones. Not that it's fortunate to have a headache or a nosebleed, but they actually
at least it's a symptom.
A symptom that shows you that, hey, I need to figure out what the heck's going on.
Sure.
But for those of us that, just walking around for 10, 15, 20 years, healthy as a horse, feel great. And all of a sudden you go in for that doctor appointment because maybe it was an insurance thing or maybe your wife made you go or your husband or whatever.
Sure.
And all of a sudden you get this number like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Right.
So
right.
This is why we have to be careful with all
this.
So,
it might not be a bad idea if you're going to some stores, have the thing you sit in, put your arm in there and take it that way.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, they're regulated. They're always very accurate. So I think you can feel comfortable with that. It'll give you at least a good guideline or a thumbnail sketch of where it is. But again, when we're taking our blood pressure, even in a store or even at home, we want to make sure we're sitting in that proper posture, both feet on the floor. Relaxed. You want to give yourself about 5 minutes of sitting before you actually hit the trigger if you're in a store.
So
just because you want to get an accurate. Because if you just came in from I don't feel really good and I want to get it set. You just jump in all of a sudden. Oh my gosh, I'm 170 over 110. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Well, and all of a sudden if you race for 5 minutes and all of a sudden it comes down to all of a sudden we're like 120 over 80.
Yeah.
So just like you were in a hurry driving in traffic, had a cup of coffee. I mean, there's a lot of factors.
And then you may want to take it a few times.
Yep.
Because there's a little red flag there. It was pretty high as it jumped that off.
Want to wait another couple of minutes and repeat it. You can. Yep.
So let's say you've been diagnosed. You got high blood pressure, or you're in the elevated stage 1. You're going to work with exercise and diet. We are not nutritionists. We're not dietitians, but we can give you some good, solid basic introductory.
There's
And
a
we talked about the salt already.
Yep.
Any other things besides looking at make sure there's not much salt?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want to go with, you're gonna, lots of fruits and veggies,
Mhm.
lean protein. So you just don't want tons and tons of basically animal fat. Or if you're vegetarian or vegan, I mean, obviously you want to get your protein sources through nuts and, things of that nature,
Right.
soy. So there's a lot of good things that are actually heart healthy in that. And like I said, vegetarians I always kind of like because, they generally are eating a lot of the right things.
Right. Sure.
So when it's hard to meet somebody that's having a lot of health problems when they're vegetarian.
Sure.
Not that you can't have lean meats and protein. I
Yeah.
think that's, to me, I couldn't live without it. So you'd have to, I mean, I need to have meat. So I would not feel right and I'd be a very
Yeah.
crabby person. But
and that's a personal thing. You
Exactly.
can work around that. And as far as exercise, we did mention the walking.
Yep.
But start out slow. I mean, there are some people they may be overweight already, very sedentary, and to go out for a 10-minute walk could just literally be exhaustive.
Yep.
So you might start out with a 2 or
5.
3 minute walk.
Exactly.
And build it up week to week. My typical rule of thumb for people who are starting out exercising like that is not more than 10% increase per week.
Correct.
So if you walked let's make it easy, 10 blocks week 1, week 2 you're going to go 11 blocks.
11 blocks.
That's 10%.
Yep.
And so it's a slow, and you don't have to do the math. It doesn't be perfect,
No,
but
but
the
it's
idea is,
mental math. It might stimulate the brain too. So that's always good.
well, there you go. Exactly. So start out slow, can be walking. If you want to get into jogging, stationary bike, things of that nature you can do inside the house are all acceptable.
But yard work. I mean,
Yard work.
raking leaves. So this
Sure.
time of year, we're in the northern.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're going to be shoveling because we're up here in Wisconsin. So or Minnesota. And
Right.
so from that standpoint, but it's one of those things where anything that you find an activity that you can gravitate to, that you enjoy, I think that's really the most important thing.
There you
that you can
go.
repeat it and do it day in and day out where you're not thinking it's a chore. You want to just say, hey, I really look forward to getting my daily walk in. Hey, I look forward to getting out in the garden, or I look forward to pushing my lawnmower. I mean,
Right.
there's lots of things that people can do, and it can be resistance training, it can be Pilates, it can be yoga. I mean, there's a lot of good things that happen with
So he's
different
saying
forms of
resistance
exercise.
training.
Correct.
It can be weights, but you don't have to have weights. Use stretch bands in your house. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money.
Nope.
It's just a matter of doing it. There's a lot of YouTubers. Just go to Bob and Brad. We've got a lot of exercises.
Couple of
with-
videos.
Yeah, mostly with stretch bands. We don't do much with weights. It's just not what Bob and I have a history of doing personally as well as clinically. And it's a great way to exercise with your balance, strength, a number of things there. I do want to talk a little bit more about, because we didn't touch on like diet as far as specialty foods,
Sure.
or not specialty, but flaxseed. We actually did a video. Bob's wife did some flaxseed diet. You can watch that video.
Yep.
And she says, and they both say, boy, her blood pressure came down as a result of it. What's the science, or what's the research say about things like
it's
that?
it's a little bit of a mixed review, but I think more positive than negative. And so I
Okay.
do think that with flaxseed and flaxseed oil, both products can be used. It's got alpha-linoleic acid. That's the active ingredient, and it's the big fancy term for your omega-3s, the healthy fatty acids
Sure.
that kind of help to maybe keep blood vessels more supple, may help to lower cholesterol, may help to kind of lower your blood pressure. So with these ingredients, there's a couple different ways you can attack it. Some people like the oil, some people like capsules. Some people can grind up the seeds and put it in their food. So you
Sure.
can bake it, you can throw it in your oatmeal. So there's a lot of healthy ways that you can add flax to your diet and actually get some real good positive benefits. And with consistent use, that's where I think you might see the blood pressure lowering effects occur.
And this is one of the things, if I understand this right, there's really no, maybe the research or it doesn't do anything, but is it going to do any
No, I don't.
bad
it
side effects?
Generally, sometimes cause a little bit of GI side effects, but that is so rare and so remote. And I mean, you'd probably have to be throwing too much flax. I mean, you'd be having like taking a quarter of
Shovel.
a cup. Yeah, so a little too much.
Yeah.
So I think
flaxseed is a healthy thing.
I would call it a thumbs up. I mean, I don't think you can do anything wrong. It's no
Right.
different than adding fish to our diet. So if you're eating fish 2 to 3 days a week, that's another really good healthy protein to put in your diet because of the particularly fatty fishes like salmon and mackerel. Those types of things actually have those good essential fatty acids, which are very cardioprotective.
Sure.
And
All
when we
right.
see diets around the world, the Americanized diet doesn't have fish as a staple, maybe on the East Coast and West Coast where it's a little bit easier to get to it. But when you go to some of the island nations or Japan in particular, it's a very good, they have some of the lowest incidences of blood pressure as a whole because of their
Japan.
So, but
then they say it's from diet.
Diet, and then also, and they've actually done some studies. And these are older studies, but when they come to the United States and they move here for a while and they get acclimated to our Americanized diet, blood pressure goes up. So a lot of that's from the salt and things that we eat.
Sure.
Although there's kind of an interesting study in northern Japan that actually, when they talk about essential hypertension, which is that when we get to this stage right here in that stage 1, we don't know why it's caused, but it is. But the northern region of Japan eats the saltiest diet per capita in the world. And it's just a small population of people, but they have so much salt in their diet. And there's a large, and then when they study the people that just don't like salt, none of those guys have the blood pressure issues like the people that are on the high salt diets. So,
they do. They're in Japan, but they eat a lot of salt, and their blood pressure is higher.
Yep. So even though they're eating the fish and the protein, that salt seems to be sodium. It just seems to be that limiting factor. So it's something to be real mindful of. And when you're actually looking for levels, when we're talking about, as we talk about food, a lot of people like flavor. So salt is an easy thing to put in there.
Sure.
So really the standardized measure that they say is about 2,300 milligrams is what we want. And a low salt diet is considered 1,500 milligrams.
But
how
that
much
mean?
is,
what is added?
Yep. So it's kind of hard to figure that out. So basically a level teaspoonful. So if you took a measuring spoon and you filled it with those white crystals of table salt and you scrape it off the top, that's about 2,300 milligrams. So that's your daily allotment for salt. So when we talk about reading boxes and food stores and what the sodium content is, and say cereal and bread is like a sneaky ingredient that has a lot of sodium in it to make it taste good. You want to look for low sodium options, especially when we're starting to get up into these higher levels. So look for low sodium on your packaging. So you want to get used to reading stuff in the grocery store before you buy it.
Bread's got a lot of salt in it.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of tricky. And things like lean meats, like turkey and ham, even they have a lot of sodium in there. So you want to be
part of the processing.
Yeah, it's the deli meats. So you want to be real careful with that. So you'd be probably better off, bake some chicken and use that as for your sandwiches.
Then you control what you put in.
When you're controlling it, exactly.
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot of things diet-wise that you can just be an observant by reading the labels, and maybe reading a book or doing a little research, watching some YouTubes. Go a long way on getting that blood pressure in a nice, relaxed manner. I'm feeling very relaxed now, Chris.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think you're and that's the other thing. Stress is actually one of the other contributing factors of hypertension and blood pressure. So it's something that, that's a lifestyle change. So it's something that we do want to be mindful of. So it's whether it's meditation, reading, taking a walk, which again is more on the exercise, but you want to find some time to make sure. So if you have a stressful job, stressful lifestyle, a lot of us with this COVID situation, our lifestyles are very different these days, and maybe we can't be as active as we want, or we're trying to work the job, trying to get the kids through their virtual learning modules. So there's stress on people that may not necessarily recognize that they're approaching some of these levels. So just taking a few minutes to try and relax is actually still very important and goes a long way with trying to help to keep that blood pressure under control.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to think. That's from the neck up mostly.
Yep. Correct. It is, but there's so many things that in our Americanized society, and actually I would say worldwide. I think everybody's tending to get busier and busier based on things that I read. And taking a little bit of me time is important, even though maybe it's as a busy parent or a single parent, it's not always that easy. If you can find 15 minutes for yourself just to relax, whether it's finding a book, doing a puzzle, just something, and that's not even a rope, but just staying relaxed seems to have a very positive effect on blood pressure.
Makes sense to me.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm feeling relaxed now. I'm feeling much better. My blood pressure's down a little bit. I think I'm going to relax for the rest of the afternoon.
All right. Well, it sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. And once again, we can fix anything except for
a broken heart, but we're trying.
Yeah, this fits right in. This is we're going to put in the archives and into that category.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll help a couple of people.
Yeah. It's nothing to joke around about seriously, but we're doing a little bit of it here.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.
Have a great day, guys.